Namaste, everybody. My name is John Branch. I'm a professor of marketing here at the Ross School of Business, and we certainly look forward to having you here at school next year. Just wanted to say a few words on behalf of Ann Arbor and its wonderful restaurant scene. For you as an Indian, I can assure you that we have a huge variety of Indian restaurants for such a small city. Everything from South Indian cuisine to North Indian cuisine, vegetarian, meat-based, fish-based. There's a great variety. And in addition to Indian food, of course, we've got a huge number of Italian restaurants, American-style restaurants, Chinese restaurants, Korean restaurants. You'll have no problems finding good food to eat. So rest assured, you're not going to have a problem as far as your stomach goes. I hope this has been helpful to you, and again, we look forward to having you here at Ross next year. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, we have Tom Morley today. He's an MBA 1 and he's going to share with us his experience and perception about Indian food. So, hi Tom.
Hi.
So, wanted to understand what is your perception about Indian food, and then we'll have a couple of more questions following on that.
Indian food, I tend to kind of think of it as being something that was kind of new to me. My wife's father is Scottish, so he's a big fan of Indian food, so we kind of get it via him. Most of the stuff that I've had tends to be pretty hot, so I tend to like the stuff that's a little bit more simpler as far as Indian food goes. Typically things like rice or chicken tikka masala or things along those lines. The naan bread I always kind of like. It's something that's a little bit different than our ordinary bread since it's a flat bread. And I'd say that my choices as far as Indian food goes is I like stuff that's kind of plain, and I really like the textures of the food, not so much the spices.
Thank you. The second question is about the restaurants or some of the suggestions that you would have for the fellow students or the incoming students about the restaurant availability of food at Ann Arbor, nearby, or in states in general.
Obviously, there's no real main chain of Indian foods that kind of can give you that whole this is safe and this is what you expect. The places that I like to go for Indian food, there's a place on the north side of town by the hospital, and they actually rent a bunch of Bollywood movies that you have to pass by on the way in. And they do pretty good Indian food, and usually the cost is pretty good for these things. And they also have a big kind of shopping section in the back for specific spices and stuff. But to be honest, a lot of the labels I can't read, so I wouldn't know what I was getting anyway. And that's pretty much my experience. There's a few other places that are takeout, but that's my go-to place. I don't even remember the name of it.
So, how much is a typical meal when it comes to Indian food for you? And from your perception, is that high, low, or somewhere in middle or average, or how is it?
It's obviously more expensive than fast food because I'd say about $5 is what I consider to be the price for fast food. Basically a hamburger, French fries, and a soda, which I try to stay away from anyway. I'd say that as far as the price goes, you're usually looking about $8 for the main portion. You'll pay normally about another $3 for rice. So usually my wife will get something and I'll get something. So that'll be $16 right there. Plus the rice is $3, so that's about $19. But we aren't paying for anything else. You know, maybe I'll get a little bit of flatbread in there. So we'll walk out of there for, you know, about the low 20s, sometimes high teens. And that's about right. I mean, we're not eating there, so we don't need to tip anybody. There's no alcohol or anything else like that. So I'd say it's about right.
And this is for 2 people?
This is for 2 people.
Okay. So what are the key things that you would look at when you go out to eat Indian food in a restaurant? And how satisfied are you in terms of the service that you have got from those of the restaurants in Ann Arbor?
In Ann Arbor? I don't really go to Indian restaurants in Ann Arbor. Mostly it's just takeout stuff that I've done.
Oh, okay.
The only Indian place that I've ever been to was a place called Kashmir, and that was when I was in Tennessee. And they had the very low tables, you sat on the pillows. For a tall guy like me, it's kind of neat for a second, but your knees start hurting after about 15 minutes because I'm not used to it. So.
Oh, okay. So you get Indian food every Thursday in Seagull Cafe. What is your take on that, or if you ever had an opportunity to taste that?
I know that they do have the Indian food because they do the cycling through it. I've had it a few times. It's nothing special. To be honest, most of the Indian food that I get is from Trader Joe's. It's the reheated meals, and for about $4 a pop, I go down and I throw it in the microwave, and I know exactly what I'm getting, and it's predictable. It's a little bland, but it's predictable.
So what you're suggesting is a couple of Indian guys who are coming from India, they can grab some ready-to-cook Indian food at Trader Joe's, which is good, healthy, but not as spicy as what they get at home.
It's probably not as spicy, but I also know that when I used to like spicy stuff when I was in the Army, I used to carry it around in the back part of my pocket. I used to keep Montreal steak seasoning, and we've got bags here. Keep some in your bag. Take yourself from Trader Joe's. Put whatever you want on it, and you'll probably be pretty happy.
Okay. My last question to you is, what is the other cuisines that you feel are similar to Indian food, which might satisfy Indian palate?
Obviously, the Indian palate, as I understand it, from speaking with my classmates from Bangalore and other places, the big problem is that I guess that telegraphs it, but because so many of you guys are vegetarians, it just makes it so hard to look for places. But there's places like Chipotle, which tends to be more of a Tex-Mex thing, but they have a lot of vegetarian stuff, lots of heavy rice, and they add whatever spices that they want to it. It's not as spicy as Indian food, but I think it would probably be a reasonable substitute, I guess.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Really appreciate your time today. Any last message to the incoming Indian students?
Be friendly. Drag your American friends along to the Indian places, and it's one of these things where being a vegetarian is going to be kind of hard as you kind of go from place to place. But let whoever you're going with know, and they'll make an effort. Don't feel yourself alienated because somebody's going to a steakhouse that you can't go because you don't eat steak.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.